Rory, nice to be home for Christmas.
Nice to be home for Christmas, yeah. This is the first time in a few years I've been home, so it's nice. Get into the Christmas spirit a bit, I guess.
We've been seeing it downstairs. How proud are you of what you've been able to give back to Hollywood Golf Club?
Yeah, I am. I am very proud. I'm proud. I've always said I'm proud to be from here. I'm proud to be, associated with Hollywood, Northern Ireland, Ireland. The whole thing. To come back to a place that's so important to me, and was so important in my upbringing. If I wasn't at home or if I wasn't at school, you could have found me here. So to be able to give something back to a place that means a lot to me, and hopefully, provide something that is different for a golf club around here, but also try to usher through, some new talent and juniors coming through to try and help them. I sort of thought at the start, what would I have liked to have had when I was growing up here, and obviously I think the gym is becoming more important in golf, and then just to have somewhere indoors when the weather's not great outside to still practice a little bit and still work on stuff. So proud of what we've been able to do here, and it's hopefully just a start.
The Rory McIlroy Shrine.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think I should probably have those trophies back home.
Those are the only replicas, yeah, and you've given them to others?
No. So yeah. Thankfully, I've got another one of those Wanamakers. I've got another replica of the US Open at home. It's pretty cool. I think some of the pictures, like some of the, like golf was just such a big thing in my childhood and upbringing. And then I think that's one of the things with what I've done with the golf club now and trying to usher in the new generation. The fact that Darren was so good with his time and got to know Darren. The fact that I got to know Nick.
Means so much to young kids, doesn't it?
It does.
Just a little bit of your time.
It's unbelievable. And I know how much that spending time with those guys meant to me. Yeah. And hopefully, that's now my responsibility to try to, bring the next generation through. And, that's what's really cool about being in this position.
And I think all of us from this little part of the world, it's a big part of your identity, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's massive. And I think sometimes as you travel the world, sometimes you forget a little bit. You lose a little bit of that connection. And especially, I haven't lived here for a few years, and you don't really get to come back and play much golf. But I think this year was massive for me to find that reconnection with the people and what happened at Portrush.
On the tee from Northern Ireland, Rory McIlroy.
It's a massive part of my identity. I love being from here. I love the fact that I've still got the same friends that I had when I grew up at this golf club, and it's a big part of who I am.
We saw at Portrush this year how much you mean to people from here, and I think that almost took you a bit by surprise, didn't it?
It did. It really did. It still sometimes gets me emotional. It felt like that, the Thursday at the Open was a tough day, but I felt like I basically, that Friday at Portrush, the people of Northern Ireland and Ireland, whatever you want to call it, they all just put their arms around me and sort of just give me this embrace, and it's something that I've never really felt before. I think it's easy for people to support you whenever you're winning and but for people to do that when they know that you've had a tough week is just, it meant an awful lot to me. It just made me rethink my, what home means to me and what the people of home mean to me.
Describe your emotions for us.
Yeah, part of me is very disappointed not to be here for the weekend. Sorry.
Tough. No, don't worry. It's clearly an emotional time for you. Just take a moment.
So part of me disappointed, emotional. This has been a week that I've been looking forward to for a long time. I didn't play my part, but, everyone in Northern Ireland that came out to watch me, they definitely played theirs.
You definitely played your part. We're both going to go in. It's going to be difficult.
Those 2 days, that devastating low on Thursday and that kind of bittersweet high on Friday, I wonder, looking back, how much those 2 days might be the making of you.
I think so. I definitely learned a lot from that week. I learned a lot about my approach to certain things, but I also learned a bit about my resilience and knowing that I can bounce back after a tough day. But I also, I did learn that no matter where I am in the world, I'm going to have a lot of people that support me and are cheering for me, even if I can't hear them or I can't feel them. One of my fears on Friday going to the golf course was, people aren't going to care. I had a late tee time, the weather was terrible, You know, who's going to come out and watch? Like, why would they want to? And, you know, coming down that back nine, a rainy, cold Friday night in July, and you know, people were cheering me on to make a cut.
Amazing.
You know, it's unbelievable.
He's got this one as well. And that's what they think of it.
It's something I'll remember for a very long time.
It has been a great year.
Yeah.
4 victories. I think you're playing the best golf of your life. Looking back on those 4 wins, which one meant the most?
I'd say the Tour Championship and the FedEx Cup meant the most, because it was Brooks in the final group, and it meant a little bit more to me just because he still is the best, you know, ranked the #1 player in the world. I dug it out. I played a really solid round of golf, 4 under on that golf course. You know, when I needed to. It was playing tough that week, and to go out with quite a lot on the line with the #1 player in the world, and to play the way I did, you know, that gave me a lot of confidence.
Finished in true style. The season-ending pot of gold is Rory's.
There was a lot of tournaments that I had chances in before the Players, even though it was still early in the year, and I felt like there was these questions around about, you know, can Rory get it done? Can he close? Can he finish? That was huge for me. It proved to myself and proved to other people that, you know, I can get it done on a Sunday when it matters at, you know, one of the biggest tournaments in the world.
McIlroy rolls again on an unforgettable Sunday at Sawgrass.
Even from the first hole in Canada on Sunday, I basically wanted to put my foot down from the start and nearly held my second shot. And then from there, it was any time I hit it in the fairway, no matter where the pin was, I'm just going to go straight at this. 61 and win by 7. It was pretty cool. I still look back and think I could have shot 59 that day, but you know, I took the win. It was nice. In China, I felt like I was in control of my game. I didn't do much wrong. I was bogey-free over the weekend, which was huge. I think I went 2 behind at one point in the final round, but not once did I ever feel like I still wasn't in control of the golf tournament. And the more I can feel like that, you know, the better it's going to be going forward. So I took a lot from that, and the 2 shots that I hit on the playoff hole to get the job done. Again, it's those sorts of moments that stay with you, because if you can hit those sort of shots under that pressure, it makes you more comfortable stepping up and doing it again when you need to.
Rory McIlroy is the WGC HSBC champion.
It seems to be that every single time you tee it up, you're contending at least. How frustrating is it then that probably the 4 times you didn't contend this year were in the 4 majors?
Yeah, I think, you know, it is. I got off to a slow start at Augusta. Ended up finishing 20th. I got off to a slow start at Bethpage, backdoor top 10 at Bethpage, and it's a pet peeve of mine in golf that people say that, because you know, you still have to play 72 holes. You know, the first hole should be similar to the 72nd, even though they're not. They are 2 different things. There is some times where you don't play a great couple of first rounds, you make the cut, and you just do your best, and you try and finish as high as you can. And I did that at Bethpage. I didn't contend, obviously. I wasn't in the mix. I got myself somewhat into the mix at Pebble. I thought 8 under par would have been a very good winning score. I think the course got too much criticism. Everyone was talking about how easy it was set up. That was not an easy week. I didn't get off to the greatest start on Sunday, and that cost me, but at least I got off to a good start. You know, I got myself in the tournament pretty much right away. So, yeah, look, the majors weren't what I wanted, but you know, I played a lot of good golf, and I think I played some good golf within the major championships as well. You know, I shot a few good scores, but I just need to start a little faster. You know, that's the big thing for me. If there's a key to me, you know, starting to contend more regularly and win majors again, I just need to start a little better.
I wonder whether the majors thing is like a striker on a gold drought. As soon as you get one, the floodgates will open and there'll be loads more.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly hope so. So when I won my 4 majors at you know, by the age of 25, I look back and what happened? What all fell into place for that to happen? Honestly, I think everything I go back to, I was in a great mental state. But then I keep questioning myself why. Like, why was I in a great mental state? What was I doing? What were my habits?
And Supermac makes it major win number 4. It's glory for Rory in Kentucky.
I was leaving it up to chance a little bit. I was like, well, this week I felt good, and I don't know why I felt good, but I just did. I think going forward for me, it's like I've now put a structure around the mental side of things where I know what I need to do to get into that, you know, that mental space a little more often. I think in the past it was just, you know, I'd get confidence from a win and I'd ride a wave of momentum until that wave stopped, where now I I think I can try and sort of catch that wave, but just keep it going a bit longer and not sort of fall off. So, but yeah, it's close.
Yeah,
it is close.
When you see people questioning your mental strength or using words like bottler or choker, how does that make you feel?
I mean, I guess it doesn't feel great, but I guess
But it's not fair either, is it?
I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's accurate, because we're at the end of the decade, and you look at what I've done in the last 10 years compared to everyone else, and I've the most wins, and tied the most major championships, and 3 Players of the Years in America, 3 Players of the Years in Europe. I've done a lot in these 10 years, so I don't think it's fair, but I don't want to have to feel like I list my achievements all the time to try to prove a point to people. But
I wonder if maybe people judge you by unfair standards, because in the post-Tiger era, people were looking for another Tiger.
I think I am slightly a victim of my earlier success. But at the same time, I mean, this year's the most wins I've ever had. I've had 4 wins, on the PGA Tour. In this day and age, you win 4 or 5 times in a year, you're doing pretty well.
You mentioned Brooks, and he comes out and says there's no rivalry with Rory. That strikes me as a dangerous comment to make. It's almost like poking the bear a bit.
It's still, when someone says something like that, it does, it sets a fire inside of you, and you want to, and if someone tells me that I can't do something, I'm going to say, no, I can. I'm going to prove you wrong. So there is that competitor in me that does that. But in golf, your biggest enemy is yourself. Unless you're playing in a Ryder Cup or a match play scenario, it's me against myself in the course. Yeah. And that's what it is. And I think that's sometimes what people forget about our game. It's, if I can get this right, then I shouldn't have to worry about anyone else.
Just missing a little green jacket in there next year.
Yes, yeah, that would be nice.
Little replica green jacket.
That would be very nice. I don't know if they'll be able to get that one off me though.
No, that's right. You might be sleeping in that one.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the end of a year. It's a natural time for reflection, but it's also the end of a decade. And looking back, you would accept, as many people would say, you've been the golfer of that decade.
It's very nice. It's very flattering. But then I look back to 10 years ago when I won at Quail Hollow.
How about making it? Good call.
He does indeed! Welcome to the big time, Rory McIlroy.
Thinking of 2010 and where I was in my career to the end of 2019, I mean, it's been a pretty good 10 years, pretty good decade. I've basically achieved everything that I've wanted to in the game. Ryder Cups and majors, Race to Dubai's, FedEx Cups, everything that I've ever wanted to do in the game, I've been able to do it apart from one thing. Yeah. And everyone knows what that is, but 31st of December, I can look back on the last 10 years with a glass of wine in my hand and be like, you know what, I'm pretty happy with that. I still think there's a lot more that I can do, but as the last 10 years go, to be able to say that you've been the best at whatever you do for the last 10 years is pretty cool.
And of the 26 victories this decade, which is your fondest?
The Open Championship, it has to be. Growing up here, what the Open means to so many people, you're going over to watch it as a kid, that being the only major that my mum was at to see me win. There's a lot of stuff in there that is really cool. So yeah, the Open Championship at Hoylake is always going to be up there. Having that claret jug for a year is a pretty nice feeling.
Rory, thanks very much. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
To a great 2020.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.